Lieutenant Colonel John Montgomery of the ROTC department at Austin Peay State University.
You got to get straight, though. Straighten up.
Yeah, straighten up, yeah. As you were. On your feet! Oh, the big 1400 WJZM radio. The big 1400 WJZM radio, checking John, 810, 47 degrees in downtown Clarksville. It is Governor Wednesday, and we have our good friend Bill Persinger from Austin Peay State University. He is the Director of Marketing. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, sir.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, man.
Good. You had a good week?
We've had a great week.
I was thinking about you at church Sunday. A friend of mine was talking about that he went hunting. And is it muzzle? What is it? Black powder? Or
I think Tennessee, it's muzzleloader season right now.
You're not into that?
I don't have a muzzleloader. No, I bow hunt and I rifle hunt.
Oh, that's right. Do you have a crossbow?
I don't have a crossbow.
You got one of those?
I got a compound bow.
Oh, okay, regular. So did you go hunting this weekend?
Yes, we did.
Did you?
No, I didn't see anything this last weekend. When
you go hunting, does the cooler weather, is there advantage to that, or you know what's going to happen?
Well, for deer populations, yeah, cool weather is a plus. It's been unusually hot this season, so they tend to just lay around. And if you look on game cameras, you know, one of the things you notice the most is that they tend to be nocturnal, especially the big bucks. They just lay around and sleep all day and then get out at night when it's cooler. So that's how the weather impacts them mostly.
Yeah, and I was noticing that we've got the Veterans Day celebration in the Military Student Center today from 11:30 to 1 p.m.
Yes.
Free food and drinks from Bojangles will be provided. Door prizes available. We need to get over there, John.
Okay.
They got door prizes. And they're going to be available while supplies last. And that ought to be good. Be a nice thing. As they've got a number of activities that are Veteran Day related, and that's one of the things that's going on today. But we have Colonel John Montgomery, Lieutenant Colonel John Montgomery, who is the chair of Austin Peay State University's Military Science Department. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Chuck.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Good. So how long have you been at Austin Peay?
I've been at Austin Peay for 3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
And you volunteered, or well, you don't. Do you volunteer for something like this? Or you put in to go? You applied for this?
I did. I competed to serve at Austin Peay as a professor of military science, and fortunately I was selected. So really, I simply moved from serving on Fort Campbell to serving at the university.
Yeah, that's an easy segue.
My wife and daughter certainly appreciated it.
They appreciated that.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah. So how long have you been in the military?
I've been in the Army 20 years.
Okay. So, well, evidently you did your 20s. So you're thinking that you're going to stay a little longer?
I'm actually going to retire next summer.
Oh no. So will you still, now you're active duty.
I am.
And there was a time when, well, I know in high schools, most of the ROTC people are retired. Correct? Is that right?
Correct. Correct. That's junior ROTC.
Okay, that's junior ROTC.
Correct.
Now, will you be able to still be a part of the ROTC department once you retire?
I won't, but I plan to remain in Clarksville and hope to maintain strong ties with the university. We really enjoy the community.
Yeah. Now, the Austin Peay ROTC department, tell us a little bit about it. Can you give us an overview of what you all do? And it's changed. When I was at Austin Peay, in fact, one of my best friends, he was one of the first students in ROTC at Austin Peay State University, and he became, Remo became the first Black Special Forces General.
General Remo Butler.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. Now,
phenomenal guy.
No, he's not.
He's phenomenal.
No, he's a hip hop record producer in Tampa. He's crazy.
We did a story on him a few years ago in the Alumni magazine. Yeah, we actually went down there. I went down there with one of my employees, Rollo Welch, and visited him at his home. We did a photo shoot there. Yeah, he's an interesting guy. I wouldn't want to be on his bad side, though.
Yeah, Remo. Yeah, we went to Fort Campbell together. We were at Fort Campbell High School together, and Remo. Anyway, so give us an overview of the ROTC department.
Sure. So our department, we have over 100 cadets, and that fluctuates, depending on which semester, which year, but generally speaking, we have about 100 cadets, and our mission is to produce leaders of character for the United States Army. And so what we offer is a leader development program that helps students become leaders who can thrive in adversity. And whether they serve in the active duty Army, the National Guard, or the Army Reserve, that's our mission, to produce the highest quality leaders that we can. And so our program consists of active duty cadre, Army Reserve cadre, and civilian cadre. And a cadet who enters the program will complete 2 to 4 years of ROTC training based on their prior experience. So for instance, those who come to us from the military as enlisted service members, they may already have a couple years of college. So
is that entertaining? I mean, is that something that's attractive? You're finding, Colonel Montgomery, to a lot of NCOs now at Fort Campbell?
It is, because some non-commissioned officers, some soldiers, they want to pursue a commission. Some seek a greater challenge. Some seek a different level of leadership in the Army. So ROTC appeals to them. You know, I was enlisted before becoming an officer, and it's two different skill sets and two different types of responsibility. So it is appealing to some of our enlisted service members for sure.
You know, it would seem the ROTC department appealing to the NCOs, and you find a lot of people who are prior service. So if I were in the military, and we talked before about the non-traditional students at Austin Peay State University and the difference between Austin Peay and a lot of schools because the proximity of Fort Campbell, having a campus on Fort Campbell. If I were in the military and I was an NCO and I decided I wanted to become an officer, then what do I do? I have a couple. Do I have a couple of ways I can go with that?
You do. The first thing you'd want to contact pursuing a commission through Austin Peay ROTC. So that first and foremost would be go online, Austin Peay ROTC, and look up Mr. Kelly. And then that's generally followed with a meeting. If the service member is local, we let them tour our facility, meet cadre, meet some other cadets. And based on how much college they have, there's a couple of different options. If they already have basically 60 credit hours, some can retain their current rank and remain on active duty, and that's called an active duty option cadet. So, for instance, if it's a staff sergeant, they would retain their staff sergeant pay and benefits, and instead of reporting to Fort Campbell in the morning, they become a full-time student at Austin Peay and
a full-time instead of and they're on active duty. They're still getting paid.
Correct.
And instead of reporting for PT at 5 o'clock, they are sitting in a psychology class.
They report to PT at 6 o'clock.
Oh, PT at 6. Aha.
And psychology at 7.
That's right.
Psychology at 7:15. Right. They have to take a shower.
That's right.
And so we gainfully employ them. They have opportunities to lead in various capacities within our program, and I believe it's one of our unfair advantages when you look at our program and compare it with programs nationwide. If we bring in the right prior service applicants, they exponentially extend the reach of our cadre, and they will quickly enhance the skill sets of those cadets who may have joined our program straight out of high school. Mm-hmm. So we have cadets who are Ranger qualified, cadets who are Special Forces qualified, and to have that level of experience in our program is greatly beneficial.
Yeah. It would seem like that would be part of it. It's kind of like on a football team where you have the veterans leading the rookies.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Colonel, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
I was just going to say, so those with the right mindset, those who truly want to serve as commissioned officers, the skill sets they bring to the program, and generally we're at about 35 to 40% prior service.
Yeah.
So that's huge for our program.
Is there, Colonel Montgomery, is there an interview process? Do you all, I don't want to say psychologically assess them, but, how does that work?
So, yes, there is an interview process, and one of the great things about being at Austin Peay and residing in Clarksville, Montgomery County, the university is exceptionally supportive of our program, as is the city and county. And with Fort Campbell in our backyard, there's a great deal of interest in the program. So we can be selective on who we bring in. And really what we're trying to do is assess that applicant's potential to serve as commissioned officer, to lead American sons and daughters in combat if called upon. So we take that charge seriously, and we try to bring in the very best and then develop them over the course of their time in the program.
The Big 1400, WJZM Radio. It is Governor Wednesday. Bill Persinger is here with us from Austin Peay State University, as well as Lieutenant Colonel John Montgomery, who is chair of Austin Peay State University's Military Science Department. We need to take a break. It's time now for a Sports Now update with Justin Swallows, brought to you by Mr. Appliance on the Big 1400.
This Sports Now update is presented by Mr. Appliance. Get it fixed fast with a quick call to Mr. Appliance at 931-503-7070.
Nashville is a professional sports town, and its leaders seem to understand that. Last night, the city's Metro Council voted overwhelmingly 31-6 to approve Mayor Megan Barry's financing plan for a brand new $275 million Major League Soccer stadium at the Nashville Fairgrounds. With the council's financial backing, Nashville now becomes the second city vying for an MLS expansion franchise to secure stadium financing after Sacramento, California did so last month. MLS Commissioner Don Garber, even prior to the council's backing, has been singling out Nashville as a place that has, quote, shined during the league's expansion process. Now to the lanes, where Clarksville Academy's boys and girls bowling teams got wins last night. The Cougars took down Nashville Christian 23-3 behind a game high of 213 from Nate Stowe. The Lady Cougars bested the Lady Eagles by the same score as Leah Hayes led the way with a game-high score of 204. Lastly, today we take you over to Austin Peay State University, where head coach David Midlick's women's basketball squad got a big exhibition win last night, 80-47 over Kentucky Wesleyan. With a total of 9 newcomers, there were some serious question marks for the Govs headed into this season, but defense was their calling card last night as they scored 26 points off from 34 forced turnovers. Sophomore guard Shelby Piggy was Austin Peay's leading scorer in the triumph, racking up 16 points in only 15 minutes on the floor. APSU women's basketball will open up regular season play on the road Saturday at 6 p.m. against Butler. From the WJZM Sports Desk, this is Sports Now, and I'm Justin Swallows.
Don't despair over that busted stove, broken dishwasher, or out-of-order dryer. Just pick up the phone and call Mr. Appliance. He offers flat rate pricing, meaning there aren't any hidden fees, and he promises an always quick response with same or next day appointments. Mr. Appliance also gives you a complimentary 1-year parts and labor warranty on every household repair. You can book an appointment anytime by calling 931-503-7070 or by going online to MrAppliance.com/Clarksville.
The Big 1400, WJZM Radio, 47 degrees, 825. Sports Now update comes your way at 9:20 this morning, brought to you by Power and Grace Preparatory Academy. Justin Swallows on the Big 1400. This is Governor Wednesday on Good Morning Clarksville, and we're talking with Bill Persinger and Lieutenant Colonel John Montgomery, chair of Austin Peay State University's Military Science Department. Okay, so in 20 years, you've seen, the military become more co-ed. And so as the professor of the chair of APSU's Military Science Department, and women are in a big part of the military, and it's almost like it's a non-issue today, wouldn't you say?
It is certainly becoming a non-issue. About 25% of our cadets are comprised of females, and they do an absolutely fantastic job. There's no differences in which leadership positions we assign them. To us, they're cadets,
yeah.
and so they're assessed on their performance. Period.
Yeah, and I think that the military is becoming more attractive. The females, young ladies that I've talked to who are either prior service or who are in the military today, they're some attractive, there's some options that they look at in the military that makes it more attractive for them to join the military. Would you say, Colonel Montgomery?
I would agree, and with, we've had recent female graduates of Ranger School. We've had the combat arms branches opening up to allow females to serve, and females are showing that they have what it takes, and so the artificial barriers are coming down, and females are being allowed to seek whatever goals they may have.
I was talking to a friend of mine who teaches at West Point, and I think this semester they had their first captain female at West Point, which is, you know, historically, I mean, if you're familiar with West Point, they've never had, first captain is the cadet who's over everybody, and she was a female anyway. So would you give us a typical day for an ROTC cadet? Sure. I mean, I know that changes, but just kind of an overview, you know, of a typical day that they would, because we talked about, well, if they're prior service and they're a staff sergeant and they come to Austin P, then instead of reporting for duty on post, they'd come to class. But just give us a typical day.
Sure, a typical day, the cadet will show up by 6 a.m. And we'll gain accountability, and that cadet will.
What does that mean?
That we basically want to know that all the cadets are safe and accounted for. And
okay.
So each morning.
I thought that was another code word for run. You're gonna do some run and some calisthenics.
Oh, they'll do some running. They'll do some running. So we gain accountability much like a unit in the Army on Fort Campbell might, and then we'll begin our physical fitness training, which we conduct 4 days a week.
I told you, John. I told you sooner or later they're gonna have to do some push-ups.
Yeah, you.
4 days a week?
4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. And so after an hour of physical fitness training, then, you know, based on whatever year that cadet is in, they may go off to one of their other classes. But for instance, you know, a junior student who's in ROTC, they would attend class around 11 o'clock, and then that afternoon, there's a variety of activities within the military science department that they may be participating in. They generally all have some sort of leadership responsibility, whether that be platoon leader, platoon sergeant, company commander, et cetera. And so they're responsible for a variety of tasks. They're responsible for other cadets. And the entire time they're in the program, they're being evaluated. They're being evaluated by their peers. They're being evaluated by their subordinates. And they're certainly being evaluated by cadre. So at no time during a cadet's career in our program will they ever wonder where they stand. They know what their strengths and weaknesses are as it pertains to leadership attributes.
And what they need to improve on.
Certainly. And so that's our job as cadre. But we take a great deal of pride in how we assess, and we place a great deal of emphasis on those peer evaluations because we truly value what the cadets think about one another as it pertains to their leadership abilities.
When do you all start weaning them and putting them on the track? Okay, you need to be in infantry. You need to be in ordnance. You need to be in signal. When does that take place, Colonel Montgomery?
So there's 3 levels of cadets: participating, enrolled, and contracted. And so basically, if you just show up, you're a participating cadet, and then the cadre have to select you to be enrolled, and that's kind of the middle step. And then you're participating. You're in ROTC is open to everybody. Correct.
That is participating.
Correct.
Now, how long is that period where they're looking at you trying to decide who we're gonna pick to be a student or the next level?
It can take 1 to 2 or 3 semesters, but generally we know, those cadets who truly want to be there will know that after half a semester or a semester. And so once they pass a few required events like the Army Physical Fitness Test, and we believe they have the potential to move to the next level, we'll enroll them. And then if they want to compete for a scholarship, which most of our cadets do want to compete for scholarships, then we will assess their potential and determine if we want to contract them. And if that decision's made and they want to contract, at that time is basically when they're raising their right hand and agreeing to serve in the Army after they graduate and commission. So the scholarships start once they're fully contracted.
Oh, okay. So participating and then enrolling and then contract.
Correct.
So, and I don't know, I guess the only thing I can say is, so everybody that comes participating does not move to the enroll step?
Correct. Correct.
Really?
There's a selection process.
So you have to say, we don't think you're cut out, or you don't.
Correct. Correct.
That's cold-blooded.
It is, but I guess you could look at it that way. But ultimately, we place a great deal of emphasis on our responsibility to only select those cadets we believe demonstrate the potential to serve as commissioned officers. And we understand there's decades and decades of experience amongst our cadre. So we understand what it takes to lead soldiers in combat. And we understand what it takes to be a commissioned officer, and it takes quite a bit. And ultimately, not everyone has the potential to serve in that capacity.
So the participating cadets, can they come back and try again?
Generally not. Not if they are not recommended for enrollment.
Mm-hmm. And so then they go to the enrollment, then they go to contracted.
Correct.
That means that, okay, you raise your right hand, that means you're gonna serve in the military. And then you decide what branch they're gonna serve in?
So we do not decide on which branch they'll serve. That is based on their performance in the program. And so the great thing about ROTC is it's a very fair system based on performance. And so the higher they perform, the more options they have. So they will compete nationally, amongst cadets nationally, to determine what component they serve in, active, guard, or reserve, and what branch they'll receive, be it infantry, aviation, ordnance.
Colonel John Montgomery is our guest. He's the chair of Austin Peay State University's Military Science Department. It is Governor Wednesday on the Big 1400 with Chuck and John, and Bill Persinger is here from the marketing department at Austin Peay State University. You read all the time about the summer events. Now, how does the summer programs involve something a little different than the regular semesters, I guess? But yeah, I mean, it's still a semester, but it's different during the summers, right?
Correct. So between a cadet's junior and senior year, all contracted events will attend advanced camp, which is a 30-day intensive training period conducted at Fort Knox, Kentucky. And they train there, and their leadership abilities are assessed there. So
he won't say graded. He says assess. And okay, we're somatics. Go ahead.
So they will move to Fort Knox for that training, and
for that 30-day period.
Correct, and they will be placed in a platoon of 40 other cadets, most of whom they've never met, and for the next 30 days in a very grueling field environment, they will be assigned different leadership positions, and the U.S. Army's Cadet Command and those trainers there at Fort Knox will use small unit tactics as a vehicle to evaluate each cadet's leadership potential. And once they complete that 30 days of training, they will receive an evaluation report, which they will return to campus with. And then I will sit down with them and compare their performance at advanced camp with their performance on campus. And basically they'll have 1 year remaining in college to expand upon their strengths and focus on some areas they might need to improve upon.
That's interesting that, you know, they go up to advanced camp and then you sit down and go over that with them. Are some of them surprised or shocked about, you know, what comes out, or does it show a lot of them exactly what it takes to lead? All of the above?
I think some of them are surprised at the rigors of a field environment. You know, spending 20 days in the woods in July in Fort Knox, you know, sleeping on the ground, not getting showers. So they're exposed to the elements, and they realize that this is a rigorous profession, and but ultimately those rigors bring them closer together, and most, really all, the cadets find something about themselves that they didn't know before they attended, and it's really it's great training. It's an environment that brings out not only the best in people, but at times the worst, and that's what those evaluators are looking for. You know, can a cadet maintain their military bearing? Can they maintain professionalism? Do they change when things get hard? So it's a great environment to really assess someone's true character and leadership abilities.
Talking to Lieutenant Colonel John Montgomery, he's the chair of Austin Peay State University's Military Science Department. I would think that the advanced camp, Colonel Montgomery, would be a game changer in a cadet's life. And even though they may be contracted, it gives them an idea of, okay, this is what the real world is like, the world I'm in, the world that I'm going to be a part of for the next, what is their commitment, 4 years, 6 years?
It depends on what type of scholarship they receive, but generally 4 to 5 years is a typical commitment for active duty service. So that's your typical timeline. But of course, if they want to pursue a career in the military, they can choose to do that as well.
It's going into the military, I guess, Bill, we've talked about it before, about the non-traditional students, and a lot of kids, four-year college is not for them. You know, right. We know that a lot of them want to go to junior college, or they want to go to community college. You know, those are options, but the ROTC part of it, component of education, making the military attractive, to me, is something that the military has marketed very well. You know, the commercials you see on TV. Now, everybody can't be jumping out of the back of a Chinook into the water. You know, everybody say, I want to, and everybody doesn't come up out of the water with their, you know, that's the commercial. But there are some things that make being in the military attractive, because especially now with cyber warfare, with other community activities, people, it's not always in the dirt, in the grunt.
It's not all about combat, right?
Yeah.
It's, what is it, like 90% logistics?
That's true, and you mentioned cyber. That's a very attractive branch. And we recently had a cadet who was one of less than 20 selected nationwide to serve in cyber. So it's very attractive. And I think, you know, the pursuit of a commission, regardless of whether or not a cadet sees themselves serving 20 years in the Army, they know that they're going to learn leadership skills that are applicable regardless of the profession they choose following college. So I think that appeals to them as well.
So, Colonel Montgomery, do you and your cadre, do you all recommend them? I mean, you all answer to, I don't know what part of the what branch of the military will be, but do you all say, okay, here's, this is Bill Persinger, Cadet Bill Persinger, and you sent a recommendation of what his skills are, what you think about him, and then they take him and put him in a different branch or whatever? How does that work?
Correct. So my responsibility as the chair of the department for our seniors who will be approaching graduation and commissioning is to assess each one's leadership potential based on their performance, and then I rank them first to last in a class. And I counsel each of them, as do all of our cadres. So our cadets are being counseled 2 to 3 times a semester, formally in writing by their cadre, so they know where they need work with. And as we rank them and as I counsel them and talk with them, I try to get a good idea of what they want to do in the Army. And I'll listen to what they want to do, and then based on my experience and the experience of our cadre, we may say that's a great idea, or we may recommend perhaps another option.
Maybe you need to look at Plan B.
Perhaps,
yeah.
But ultimately, we will make recommendations for those cadets so that when they appear before a national selection board, that board member may see that Cadet Persinger, as you mentioned, has a recommendation to serve in the infantry because he demonstrates some leadership attributes that particular branch holds near and dear.
Yeah. What is the National Recommendation Board? I'm not.
So basically, following advanced camp, the rising seniors, their body of work in ROTC, they'll receive a score based on their performance. And cadets nationwide, over 5,000 of them, will appear before a board who will look at every cadet's packet.
Okay, is this in public? I mean, is this in person? They have to go?
No, the cadet does not appear before the board members in person.
Their body
their
of work is okay.
Correct. Their score. So it includes their GPA, their physical fitness level, their leadership evaluation reports throughout their career as a cadet. Have they participated in extracurricular activities? Much like you might see when interviewing scholarship applicants. So they're assessed and they're ranked. They receive a ranking. So nationwide, only about 50% of ROTC cadets go on to serve in the active duty. So based on the score they receive, the higher they score, the more opportunities they will have. If you're number one out of 5,500 cadets, you can choose to serve in whatever component you want to, basically, and basically you'll have the ability to serve in whichever branch you want, basically. So the higher you score, the more options you have.
Having said that, with all of the competition and the competitiveness, you said active duty, National Guard, or reserve, or did I get it backwards?
Correct.
I got it backwards?
No.
Active duty, National Guard, and reserve. So does this review board decide whether they're going to be active duty or reserve or National Guard?
Yes, based on the number of points a cadet earns, they will either make the cut for active duty or they will not. That said, there are a great number of cadets who want to serve in the National Guard, who want to serve in the U.S. Army Reserve. For instance, a cadet who may be taking over a family business or a family farm, who wants to remain local in Clarksville, Montgomery County. They may have no interest in serving on active duty. They simply may want to serve in the Tennessee National Guard. So it's not necessarily that one component's better than the next. It's just that there is a great deal of competition for active duty. So there's a particular score they'll need to earn each year if they want to serve.
And now, very quickly, I wanted to ask you, going from reserve to active duty, Is that something that a lot of them do later on, or how does that work? Or they're called up to active duty?
There's an avenue that a U.S. Army Reserve officer can pursue to basically become an active reservist. So that is an option. I don't know the number of reserve officers who choose to pursue that, but for instance, one of our cadre members is an officer and is an active reservist.
Yeah, the reason I asked that is because I worked with a number of chaplains who were reserve, but they were called up to active duty, and I just wondered how that worked. Anyway, we appreciate it, Colonel Montgomery. Thank you for coming by.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you have to come back. You done good, Bill. And you can come back when you're Mr. John Montgomery. You know, in your future endeavors, whatever you decide to do, I wish you continued success. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. We'll see you next Wednesday.
We'll see you then.
All right. Governor Wednesday here on the Big 1400. We need to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Family outings should be special. They should be memorable. They should be fun. And you'll find all of that and more with a short trip to Culver's of Clarksville. With a focus on customer service and quality farm-fresh ingredients, Culver's is serving food and fun at a whole new level. Go by today for one of their made-to-order butter burgers or a waffle cone stuffed with fresh frozen custard. They're at 140 Southampton Place, just off Wilma Rudolph Boulevard, Culver's of Clarksville. Welcome to delicious.
Ever lost or misplaced your debit card? Now, before that happens, download the Card Valet mobile app. With it, you can turn your F&M debit card on and off, establish when, where, and how it is used, and much more. And best of all, it's free from F&M Bank. Member FDIC.
How did you sleep last night? Did you wake up sore, or worse yet, still feeling tired? Say goodbye to that constant state of drowsiness with one quick trip to Beds Express. They're fighting sleepless nights one bed at a time, and they're doing so with a trusted staff of comfort experts trained to get you a good night's rest at an affordable price. Go see them at 1767 Wilma Rudolph Boulevard in Clarksville, 7643 Highway 70 South in Bellevue, or at 2222 Medical Center Parkway in Murfreesboro. Visit Beds Express today and sleep well tonight.
What if you suddenly found yourself unable to pay your electric bill? Fortunately, help is available. It's called Project Help. By adding an extra $1 to your monthly electric bill, Project Help makes it possible for many in this community to keep the lights and heat on during the cold winter months. Project Help donations are distributed by agencies in this community which treat all applicants with fairness and compassion. This message brought to you by CEMC, Cumberland Electric Membership Corporation, a proud sponsor of Project Help.
Was your New Year's resolution to lose weight, but you haven't been able to accomplish this? Then come to the Doctor's Diet Program at 231 Dover Road. They're open Tuesdays and Saturdays from 11:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Doctor's supervised weight loss can be achieved by following the simple diet plan. Whether you want to lose 10 pounds or 100 pounds, the Doctor's Diet Program can help. Call them today at 931-906-5555. That's 931-906-5555.
The Big 1400 is WJZM, Clarksville, Fort Campbell, Hopkinsville. Since 1991, State Farm agent Scott Bryant has been serving the Clarksville community. He's a lifetime member of State Farm's President Club, and he takes great pride in helping people manage the risks of everyday life, recover from the unexpected, and realize their dreams. When it comes to home, auto, or life insurance, you want to work with a trusted professional. You want to work with State Farm agent Scott Bryant. Call him today at 931-648-3071 or visit his office at 1810 Madison Street over in Midtown.
We've got you covered every step of the way. That's what they do at Clarksville Floor Covering. Carpet, hardwood, tile, laminate, vinyl, and area rugs are what they specialize in. Visit Clarksville Floor Covering and let their on-staff interior designer put it all together to give you the look you want. Locally owned and operated since 1961, Clarksville Floor Covering is conveniently located at 606 North Spring Street, behind Sonic off Riverside Drive. Visit their website at clarksvillefloor-covering.com and be sure to check them out on Facebook.
The Big 1400, where we're at 48 degrees in downtown Clarksville, expecting a high today of 54 degrees tonight, 37 for an overnight low. And for Thursday, I expect a high near 60 degrees. Currently 48 degrees in downtown Clarksville. I was reading a list of Forbes magazine. They put out their annual list of the world's highest paid TV hosts. At number 10 was Heidi.
Like talk shows? Or?
Yeah. Heidi, TV host. Heidi Klum. She earned $21 million.
Who?
Heidi Klum. In that.
Seal?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Wasn't she married to Seal?
I think so.
Yeah. She earned $21 million. Michael Strahan earned almost $22 million. Sean Hannity, $36 million. Bill O'Reilly, $37 million. Of course, a lot of that. Steve Harvey, $43 million. Simon Cowell, $44 million. Judge Judy, $47 million.
Rich. Come here.
Top three.
Would she marry me?
Judge Judy?
Yeah.
She'll send you to court first.
Oh.
Ryan Seacrest, $58 million. Ellen DeGeneres at number 2, $77 million. And number 1, Dr. Phil.
I don't have to worry about him marrying me.